Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote. I am your podcast host here at Action Coach in Central Texas. Today I have on Amy Colton, founder of Divorce Made Simple, as my guest. Today we're going to be talking about her business, her journey to business ownership, challenges and best practices, and really share a sneak peek what it's like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop new conversations just like this one. Well, welcome, Amy. Thank you for being here today. Please give us a brief overview about yourself and a little bit about your business.
I came to the world of entrepreneurship about 12 or 13 years ago. And after many, many years in the corporate world, when I'm a wealth advisor, I'm a certified divorce financial analyst and a family law mediator. And early on in my journey as an entrepreneur, there was a family law attorney in town who decided that she didn't want to do divorce anymore because it was too stressful. And she started sending her clients to me, and she would tell them, hey, if you can work things out with Amy, then you can come back to me and I will file the paperwork and I'll write the divorce decree. And she didn't have to deal with any of the messy stuff in between. So when I started doing this, I realized that there was a huge need for this, and that the process of doing it this way was so much more time efficient, cost efficient, and more amicable than two parties going out and hiring attorneys and letting the attorneys hash things out. So over the years, I've perfected this. I worked, like I say, both as a financial advisor and a family law mediator, helping couples and individuals get through the divorce journey with more knowledge about what they really fight about, which is the division of assets, and having a financial advisor who understands divorce, the nuances of divorce, and also understands the financial and tax ramifications of these decisions that they're making today that will affect the rest of their life. So I really am very passionate about helping people go through this journey and educating them, because most of those people are going through it for the first time. They don't know what questions to ask, and they don't know what to expect on this. So my goal it really is just to make sure they get through the divorce journey as quickly as possible, spending as little, not depleting their assets, and moving forward to the next chapter of their life in a positive way.
That is very well needed in today's culture, especially, and seeing so many people go through it and not really knowing what to expect, especially with the financial side of things, like what this means for them as individuals. So I think that's a very, it's a great resource for people, the business that you started. So like generally speaking, what does your current ownership structure look like? You're the sole founder, but are there any outside investors or partners that you work with?
No, when I started the business, it was a partnership, but I bought my partner out. And so now it is just us, basically, it basically is well, it's an LLC, but it's a sole proprietorship, really.
Okay. When you look at your role currently, how many hours would you say you spend working in the business, like the job of what you do, as opposed to outside the business, like the strategy, the planning, like the building of the business itself?
Well, I subscribe to the concepts in Traction, which by Gino Wickman, which basically is a blueprint for the entrepreneurial business. And so we do have weekly meetings. I have a team, it's a small team, but I have a team where we do status meetings of the business every week. We do yearly planning and we do quarterly planning on what our goals are for the business, what our core values are. And so basically follow the Gino Wickman Traction blueprint, like I said.
Mhm.
And, you know, so every year we look at, we have a 2-page business plan and we follow it.
Mhm.
And it breaks it down into quarterly goals. So every week we look at what those goals are and what the obstacles are that we're facing, and we try to come up with ideas to, you know, overcome the obstacles.
Definitely. And you kind of gave a brief of your your business in the beginning, but I want to know deep dive into why do your clients and customers choose your services?
Because it's a more time efficient, cost efficient, and more amicable approach to divorce. So if you think about it, I'm getting divorced and I go and hire an attorney. So my husband hires an attorney. Now we have relegated those conversations to the 2 attorneys. And every time we go back and forth and have a conversation, the attorneys charge us money.
Mhm.
And so it takes more time and it costs more money. It also, from the onset, creates not a contentious, what I call a contentious environment, because the attorney only represents one party and they want to get the most for that party. Whereas when I do the work I do, we have the couple come together and talk about what each party wants. We
Mhm.
do the discovery process. We then talk about how to divide the assets. We talk about what other non-financial things each party wants. And every divorce is different. Everybody's goals are different. Everybody's needs are different. Everybody's timetable is different. But the point is we're having a conversation and try to come up with a collaborative win-win solution for both parties. And it
Mm.
really doesn't matter if you are in a state that's community property or equitable distribution. Everybody wants a fair split.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Would you say there's any competitors out there with how you are with your services? And if so, how do you stand out amongst those competitors?
Well, there are a lot of certified divorce financial professionals, and it's a certification for financial advisors or accountants.
Mhm.
And there's a handful of them in the area. But I don't know of anybody who's combined the family law mediation with the financial planning.
Mhm.
I'm not aware, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm not aware of anybody who has done that. And our processes are unique. For example, just on the mediation side, most mediators will put the 2 parties in separate rooms and go back and forth and discuss things and try to come to an agreement in a day. I don't do it that way.
Mhm.
I have the couple have several 1.5 to 2 hour sessions talking about what each party wants, talking about what's realistic, talking about what each party needs. It is more of and the reason I do this is because it's a really emotional time for these people.
Mhm.
And so generally, when you're having these conversations, at some point, somebody gets upset, somebody gets emotional, and somebody gets stopped in their tracks. And so this gives them time to think about it, talk to some other professionals, maybe get some nuance around it, and then come back to the table. So it is a very, very different process than a traditional mediation process, but it incorporates all the mediation techniques. But it
Okay.
makes us very unique in that we're doing mediation and financial planning at the same time around
Mm.
divorce. And
Mhm.
it gets more complicated. The fastest growing area of divorce is what they call gray divorce. And this is actually the fastest growing area of divorce in the world. And the reason is that these people have been married for 20, 30, 40 years, and they built this nest egg together, and now they have to break it up. And so there are lots and lots of things that go into how you divide the assets. And you've got to look at, hey, how's Social Security going to affect me? What's my budget going to look like? Uh, what are the tax ramifications of doing it? For example, the house is usually the biggest asset that any couple has. How
Mhm.
much how much equity do I have in the house? And if one person wants to stay in the house, are they going to refinance it? It becomes very complex, especially today. They may have a mortgage at 2 or 3%, and now they've got to refinance it at 7%, or and they've got to refinance at current market value, not when they bought the house. So their mortgage payments could go up. It might not be a reality to keep that house. It might not be cost effective. They may not be able to qualify on one party may not be able to qualify on their own. There's so many things that have to be looked at when you're going through this process.
Oh, definitely. That's very educational. Like what you're doing is very educational for
Yeah, it is. It
couples.
is. And that's kind of my mission, is to educate. I
Mhm.
want, these people are going through this for the first time. They don't even know what questions they should be asking.
Oh, completely. I completely can relate to that. And that kind of leads me into, the topic of marketing, which every business does differently. And I like to hear how, especially your business is very unique and how you approach the marketing. And so would you say you put a monthly budget into your marketing pursuits, and what does that look like?
Oh God, I probably should, but marketing's been a black hole or a money pit. And so it is, and every time I talk to another entrepreneur about marketing, because it's what I get is it's a crapshoot. You make a lot of mistakes. And it's really, really difficult. It's really difficult. Nobody knows I exist. Nobody knows that this is an option. So, people think divorce, they think attorneys. And I'm not saying don't use an attorney. I'm just saying that most of the people I talk to do not need an attorney day one. It is the most, like I say, the average, and this is the average, and I don't know anybody who's spent this little amount of money by using attorneys, but I think the average is like 15,000 a person.
Oh.
And I can tell you, everybody I know that's used attorneys spent way more than 15,000.
Mhm.
But the average, and it's a national average, is about 15,000 a person and takes 12 to 18 months.
Mhm.
Uh, with my process, we do it in less than 6 months, and typically around 3 or 4, at a fraction of the price they would pay if they were
Mhm.
using attorneys. And I'm not saying don't use attorneys. I'm just saying don't use attorneys day one. Now, there are people that need attorneys day one. If you have somebody that may cause violent and you're concerned with your life, you need an attorney day one. If I had a client whose husband shared a business with her husband, and her husband was blowing up the business because he didn't want to pay child support and he didn't want to show how much money he was making, so he was trying to make the business go away. She needed an attorney. There are always going to be certain situations where people need it, but most people that I talk to do not need an attorney, and they're much better if they put together what I call a divorce financial plan before they hire the attorney.
Definitely. You hear that a lot, I- a lot of couples just probably want they just want to out of the marriage. They don't want to fight. They don't want to, it's more amicable than, the struggles of the more severe cases. So I see there's a huge market there for those couples.
But
So
back
what
to
would,
your original question about marketing. I've spent a lot of money on marketing.
Mhm.
I've spent good money and bad money. I mean, I used a marketing firm. I've used 2 different PR firms. I have currently I'm doing a professional video with somebody who does interviews on TV. So I'm spending a lot of money uh on trying to get a name for myself in this arena. That I also wrote a book which isn't published yet, but be out this year. And I will probably engage a woman to help me with the marketing of the book. So like I said, I've spent some money wisely and I've spent some money unwisely, but from everybody that I talk to, it is it's basically, you try it and see if it works. It's like it's not the approach I would like to take. I would like to have a much more streamlined approach to marketing, but it is the one area of my business that I struggle with the most.
That's, that's very honest too. And it is something that a few other business owners that I've spoken with have had the same marketing struggles. It is trial and error. There's different approaches that work for different types of businesses. How would you say that word of mouth and referrals are in play
That
for
has
you?
been the biggest source because I ask everybody, how did you find me?
Hmm.
Okay. Um, and I have been quoted in a lot of like publications, ARP, CNBC, Yahoo News. I've been quoted a lot. Every once in a while, somebody sees the article and calls me, but 9 times out of 10, it's a referral-based business.
Hmm.
Talked to 2 people this week, both one guy I talked to today, I asked him how he found me, and he said his a friend of a friend said to call me. It's like, so past clients.
Yeah.
I think that friend of a friend was a past client, but I don't know who. But I did a podcast a couple of years ago, and last week 2 people from that podcast called me. So you just never know. It's kind of like, but I would say that most of my clients are referrals
Okay.
for either past clients or somebody who's heard of me. But I still continue to do the marketing thing because I'm trying to get a broader get a broaden that this is an option for more and more people.
Hmm.
And a lot of people don't know it's an option.
I would have a year ago would have loved to, know about this.
Yes, I hear that a lot. And when I tell people what I do, they go, "Oh, I wish I would have known you when I was going through divorce."
Yes. I have a couple of friends right now. I'm gonna send your number to like we're kind of diving back into, your journey as an entrepreneur, talking about you. What is something I would say like a memorable roadblock or hurdle that you had as an entrepreneur? And how do you overcome it? And how did that change your growth as an entrepreneur?
So when I started, like I say, I spent many, many years in the corporate world, and I never really wanted to become an entrepreneur. But in 2008, I lost my job, and I lost my job because I was working for a French company. I was their sales manager, and they brought in a guy from Germany to basically clean up the bottom line. And his vision of cleaning up the bottom line was fire everybody in management and get rid of those high-paying salaries, take my high-paying sales reps, make them managers, whether they want to or not, and then replace them with low cost salespeople who don't have any experience, so you don't have to pay very much. Now, it was a plan that did not succeed, but I was out of a job, and it was 2008, not the best time in the world to get to be looking for a job.
Hmm.
So for the next 2 years, I struggled to find a job, got back into the corporate world again, and quickly realized this was not where I wanted to be, and that I really needed to find something where I could have more control of my destiny, have more control of my salary, and I wanted to do something I was passionate about that I could do um, and really feel energized by. And so I started out. I met a guy who was the head of the New York Life office here in Austin, and I went to become, to learn the business, which was the financial services business through the insurance channel, which is not uncommon, but it is a very high attrition rate. I would say about 80% of the people that enter into that world don't stay there.
Hmm.
Maybe it's even higher. And the reason is it's a sink or swim kind of thing. And you don't get a lot of direction, you don't get a lot of guidance. But I'm very determined, and I said to myself, I have no choice. I have to make this work. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. And while I was there 2.5 years. I got all my licenses to be a financial advisor. And when I did, I decided to leave because I had learned the insurance business by myself, but I wanted a mentor to help me on the financial advisory side, the investment side. And so at that point, I left and um, went to what is now Forefront Wealth Partners. I've been there 10 years and have learned that part of the business. And because my business was devoted to really helping women going through major life transitions, the three of which are divorce, death of a loved one, and retirement, and the fourth being sudden inheritance. All of them require all of them require financial planning and really evaluating your life goals and your financial goals because of what's gone on. And so the marriage of the divorce business and my financial advisory practice was a very, very good marriage.
Hmm. That's really incredible how you saw the opportunity there to take the what you learned and the two, places you had been previously and build something that really is helping. It sounds like helping a lot of people. So I kind of want to dive into what's it look like for the next 3 to 5 years for you? What are your plans with business moving forward?
So I really want to change the family law industry. That's my goal. And like I say, people don't know this is an option. They think I'm getting divorced, I got to call an attorney. And I really want to educate as much as possible um, around this concept. So the book's coming out this year. Um, I have always done and will continue to do speaking engagements because they're very educational and people learn a lot during these. Um, and I really want to continue to use the book and to use speaking engagements to basically educate people that this is an option and how it works. And whether they use me or not, they know that there's this alternative works. Um, and so my focus will be more and more on speaking, educating, and and growing the business organically. I have a colleague I work with who has worked with me almost since the beginning. She understands how the business works, what to do. And so my vision is for me to be more of uh the person that you gets in front of it and talks about it, educates, um, and speaks, and then have uh and be involved in the business, but have the day-to-day business run by my colleague. Um, and that's really kind of my long-term vision, is to have more people doing what I do and going out and telling the world about it. When I first started, I never thought that we would do things via Zoom. But that has really opened the possibility to doing this kind of work anywhere in the world. Because
Mhm.
again, we're not attorneys. We're not dealing with the law, and the law are different in each state. But what we're doing is we're basically negotiating for win-win solutions, and that you can do anywhere.
Hmm. That's so true. That's really powerful. And, we've covered so much ground in this conversation today. And like for anybody listening, I'd say like watch this a couple times through, listen to this a couple times through. There's a lot of great nuggets in here. So as we're kind of beginning to wrap up our conversation, I have a few rapid fire questions for you. These are quick, top of mind, top of head answers, and we have four of those questions. So I'd like to start with question number one. What is one key to success for you?
Uh, the one key for success for me is don't give up. Do not give up. Just if you're determined and you know this is what you want to do, just go after it.
Very true. What is one piece of advice you would have for other business owners?
Get a mentor. I
Mm.
mean, I haven't had too many mentors in my life. I've had a few, but it really makes your job easier. Find somebody who knows the business and can teach you the things that you need to learn.
Very true. What is one piece of content you read? It could be a book, listen to a podcast that has impacted you recently.
Well, there's a few, but this is a book that I am currently delving into called
Mm.
Positive Intelligence. And it really is, it's all based on neuroscience, but it really makes you aware of the things that are causing you from not moving forward in your life.
Mm. That is going on my list for sure. And the final question is, if you had to choose only one area of business you could immediately improve tomorrow, what would it be?
Marketing.
I had a feeling you were going to say that, but I was going to leave that there. It is a struggle. It is a struggle, but oh my goodness. Well, this has been an incredible conversation. So before we get to the final question, let's start that marketing now. How can people learn about you? Feel free to share your social medias and website, anything you want.
My website is yourdivorcemadesimple.com. Please go and check it out. I'm also on LinkedIn, and also forefrontwealthpartners.com. So two different websites.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Amy. So before now we're here at our final question. Amy, what is most inspiring to you today?
What is most inspiring? Hmm, I don't know the answer to that question today. Okay.
Today in the recent while.
Well, I am inspired by the people that come to me and need my help, and if I can help them, because that makes me feel totally like I'm working my mission, I'm doing what I need to do, I'm educating people, I'm giving them tools that they wouldn't ordinarily get.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Amy. This has been an incredible conversation. You were a joy to talk to. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.